Men only want to settle down and get married once they have enough money or when they start going bald. True or false?
What? You. I'm gonna marry her.
Fair warning, I'm going to be purposefully antagonistic with this atomic truth bomb that I'm about to drop on y'all. There is a certain breed of man we are typically talking about here that plays eeny, meeny, miny, mo marriage at 40 years old. Yes, this is the quintessential, relatively successful, womanizing playboy that is finally deciding to retire from the fast life and settle down. Y'all know exactly what type of guys I'm talking about. And those types of guys who are all cut from a similar cloth tend to have full rosters of a particular type of basic bop, all very externally focused and easily interchangeable. So, whichever dime from the dozen he happens to be standing closest to when the clock strikes midnight is the one who gets the glass slipper. And usually, there's several other equally eligible rudimentary maidens in the village who are day drinking at brunch the next morning, still waiting for a text back and still getting those weekly pedicures in the hopes it was going to be their toes finally touching glass. Moral of the story: men commit when they get to a place in life where they are good and ready to commit. A woman can do very little to change that, despite what fairy tales you grew up believing. Stop trying to be the one who is good enough to change a man. Stop trying to get commitment from the uncommitted. You will only lose yourself in the process. And be the one making these videos because you're upset that it wasn't you. So if this metaphorical shoe seems to be fitting, take it off and run. Men only want to settle down and get married once they have enough money or when they start going bald. True or false? As a man who is on the path towards bald eagle status, I wanted to address the lack of empathy here. I used to beat myself up relentlessly for feeling like a failure as a man because I wasn't making six figures. I couldn't afford the life that I envisioned for my future family. I couldn't provide the option for my wife to stay at home, and I hated myself for it. So, emotionally speaking, marriage was never on the table in my 20s. I dated women I had no intention of marrying, women who were engaging in lifestyles and behaviors that did not align with what I wanted in a wife. Why? Because it helped me avoid the conversation altogether. I think a lot of the choices I was making in those days came from that insecurity of feeling like I wasn't good enough, that no woman would ever respect me or value me or stand by me long term if I couldn't give her more than the next man. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that feeling. Now that your hearts are hopefully a little more open to what I'm saying, allow me to ruffle some feathers. Women also have strong biological desperations and social expectations, like get married and have kids before geriatric pregnancy sets in. I am sure watching all of the other women getting married around you and starting families has that clock on the wall getting louder and louder. Women are also more likely than men to be desperately trying to marry someone who can pay all of her bills. I hope you ladies can see how I'm starting to sound like a red pill alpha male podcast bro when I start reflecting the energy from that comment back. So let's not stay there. Men and women are different, and that's okay. It's beautiful even. But we all comfort ourselves by shouting in the mirror and from the rooftops, "I'm happier single," which is a lie in most cases, or maybe a half-truth, because if we could get the relationship that we really wanted, we would pick that 9 times out of 10. The truth is, receding hairlines and financial success tend to occur simultaneously as men enter their late 30s. Side note, women love to body shame men for being bald. Some of you might remember when a famous influencer, the Wizard Liz, made a video about me saying, "Shut up, you're bald."
Shut up, man. Like, worry about your bald head.
But I don't think It's a lack of hair that moves a man towards marriage as much as financial stability and emotional maturity. We men often struggle with the idea of marriage until we feel like we are successful enough to manage the risk and responsibility of it. And I find a lot of women struggle to empathize with that because women do not experience even a fraction of the expectations that men do when it comes to providing for a family.
2025, I'm dating for money, not love. I'm sorry. I'm dating for money, not love. I have always entered relationships with like a 50-50 mindset. Like I'm always ready for like equality, even though there is no equality because we live in a patriarchy. So why am I acting equal? I've never ever thought that I would be the type of person who would want to date someone for money, but dating for love isn't working. I'm not enjoying myself, and transparently, inflation is crazy. I only have a few good years left in me. Like, I am going to use them for what they're worth.
I think a lot of men are turning away from marriage altogether. Not only are the financial expectations and realities a whole new world to navigate as a man, the divorce rate is absolutely frightening. It's really hard to logically argue for the reward of marriage being worth all of the risks. It's a hard sell to tell men today that they need to spend thousands of dollars on rings and weddings and entrust their financial futures to a woman who could just wake up one day and decide she's not happy, that you haven't done enough for her or haven't become successful enough to give her the life that she always expected to have. I think that money is what has a lot of men and women at each other's throats more than anything else today. It's sad, and we are going to have to find new ways to navigate relationships in the modern world. The environment is changing, and people who don't create enough depth and adapt will not survive the rising water. But as for me and my house, I'm going to get married. I think it's the right choice to sacrifice for relationships, for family values, and it's for the betterment of society through raising children in stable homes. I think the oaths and promises of lifetime commitment should mean something. I think that when people choose marriage, it matures their outlook on life. I think it is the straight and narrow path, the choice of sacrifice in a world filled with selfishness. And I will choose to stand for it, even though I can also fully understand all the apprehension and why so many men are turning their backs and licking their wounds.